Dracula, Chapter 4 Recap, brought to you by the Timeless Library Podcast. Chapter 4 of Dracula is the breaking point. Jonathan Harker is no longer just imprisoned, he's being erased. Forced to write post-dated letters, stripped of his belongings, replaced by Dracula in disguise, who wears his clothes, uses his name, and moves freely through the world, while Jonathan rots in a locked castle with only shadows and vampires for company. This chapter is packed with dread, deception, and one of the most horrifying scenes in the entire novel. Let's dig in. Jonathan wakes in his room, unsure how he got there. The details suggest he wasn't dreaming. Dracula carried him back, but the real terror sets in when the Count asks Jonathan to write 3 letters, all dated ahead, claiming he's finished his work and has safely left the castle. Jonathan knows what it means. Dracula is preparing to murder him, and these letters are the alibi. Still, he plays along. He's desperate. He hopes some twist of fate might let him escape, and for a moment it looks like it might. A group of Sgiani gypsies arrive in the courtyard. Jonathan writes secret letters to Mr. Hawkins and Mina, one in shorthand, and throws them down with a gold coin, hoping someone will post them. But Dracula intercepts the letters. One he returned to the fake apology, the other, Mina's letter, he burns before Jonathan's eyes. And then he locks the door behind him. In the days that follow, Dracula continues to tighten control. Jonathan discovers that his travel clothes are missing, along with papers, money, and notes, everything that could help him survive if he escaped. Later, he sees wagons bringing in large wooden boxes and hears the sounds of digging and hammering. Something's being prepared deep inside the castle. One night, he sees Dracula leave again, wearing Jonathan's clothes, carrying a bag, and crawling down the wall like a lizard. Dracula is becoming Jonathan, using his identity to move freely in towns and mislead the world. Any evil done will be traced back to Harker, not the Count. And just when Jonathan thinks he can take no more, he sees the phantoms of the vampire brides forming in the moonlight and flees back to his room in terror. Then comes one of the most heartbreaking and terrifying scenes in the book. A woman appears below Jonathan's window. Disheveled, desperate, weeping, she screams for her child, demanding Dracula return her baby. She beats on the door, wailing in grief. And then the wolves come, at Dracula's command. They descend on her. Her cries stop. The courtyard falls silent. And we realize, along with him, that this is no ordinary villain. This is something ancient and merciless. Despair gives way to action. Jonathan decides to climb the castle wall, just as he saw Dracula do, and break into the Count's private room. There he finds a fortune in gold and ancient artifacts, but no key. He ventures deeper into the chapel below. There, inside one of the wooden boxes filled with dirt, he finds Dracula's body. The Count is pale, still, with open eyes. Jonathan is horrified, but the Count's eyes flick open, glowing with hatred, and Jonathan flees in terror. The next morning, Dracula tells Jonathan, "You leave tomorrow," but Jonathan knows it's a lie. That night, he tells Dracula he would like to leave now. Dracula obliges, but when he opens the front door, there are wolves waiting just outside. Jonathan realizes he's about to be fed to them. In a panic, he begs Dracula to stop. Dracula smiles, shuts the door, and retreats, mocking him with politeness that masks pure malice. But the worst isn't over. Later, Jonathan hears the vampire brides whispering outside his room, laughing, licking their lips. "Tomorrow night is yours," Dracula says to them. Jonathan's fate is sealed. His last hope is escape, or death on his own terms. At the end of the chapter, Jonathan makes a final descent into the chapel. Again, he finds Dracula in his box, this time bloated with fresh blood. His youth partially restored. Jonathan tries again to kill him. He fails. As the boxes are nailed shut and prepared to transport, Jonathan realizes Dracula is leaving. He's going to England, and Jonathan may not survive. His last line says it all. At least God's mercy is better than that of these monsters, and the precipice is steep and high. At its foot a man may sleep, as a man. Themes of Chapter 4. Loss of identity. Dracula is stealing Jonathan's life and replacing him. Bureaucratic horror. The use of forged letters and staged appearances added a layer of disturbing realism to Dracula's evil. He's not just supernatural, he's strategic in his evil. Predation of the innocent. The woman and her child are a stark reminder that Dracula's evil isn't metaphorical, it's physical, brutal, and unforgiving. Desperation and resistance. Despite everything, Jonathan still tries to fight, to escape, to warn the world. That instinct to resist, the human will to survive, becomes central to his arc. By the end of Chapter 4, Jonathan Harker is physically broken, psychologically crushed, and spiritually empty, but he's not dead yet. The Count has left for England, and Jonathan is alone in the castle with 3 monsters who are only waiting for night to fall. Want to hear the full Dracula audiobook? Check out the full playlist on our channel. Support bonus readings, short stories, and guest narrators at patreon.com/timelesslibrarypodcast.